All right, we'd like to call this meeting of the Union County Board of Commissioners to order. We'll start with our invocation. Will, please pray. Lord, we thank you for bringing us all here safely tonight. Pray that you would be with us as we make the decisions for the people of Union County. We pray that you would be with us as we go home tonight. Make a safe return. In your precious name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next we have employee recognition. This is the service and retiree recognition. Service award recipients for March 2016. For 5 years of service, we have David Richardson with the Sheriff's Office. We have John Tompkins for 10 years service with the Community Services. 10 years, Josephine Benedito, Sheriff's Office. James Dennis with the Sheriff's Office, 10 years of service. 15 years of service, we have Cliff Rhodes with Community Services, Scott Honeycutt with Public Works, Amanda Kay with the Sheriff's Office, and Lisa Cowan with Human Services. 15 years of services, we have Sheila Treadaway with the Tax Administration. And then the February 2016 retirements, we have Ronald Johnson with Human Services, 13 years. Luther Wetherington, Public Works, 19 years. And Wayne Mullis with the Sheriff's Office, 12 years. I'd like to congratulate all those employees and thank them for their service to Union County. Next, we have a public hearing, Union County Development Ordinance, Text Amendment, Article 85.
Good evening, Chairman and Commissioners. Tonight you have in front of you a public hearing for the text changes of our Unified Development Ordinance. We had previously mentioned to you that we wanted to make some administrative changes, and that's what we have here tonight. It's sort of broken into three different classes. One are some items that we're actually requesting be removed altogether. And then number two are items that we're requesting be moved into a rules of procedure ordinance or a rules of procedure document for both the Board of Adjustment and the Planning Board. And then the third are just some changes to move things within the existing ordinance as it is. So I'm going to start off with the items that we are requesting that the board consider to be removed altogether. Currently in our UDO, we have term limits set for, we have term limits that are set for both the Board of Adjustment and for the Planning Board. Those two establish that after 2 full terms, those members must step down, and then they have to wait a year before they can reapply for any type of reappointment. The staff met with both boards. We discussed this at length, and we feel that this isn't really necessary. The commissioners have the ability to appoint or reappoint any member at any time and remove members for cause as well. When you have board members that have a lot of knowledge and certainly have a different type of position with the Board of Adjustment, especially where it is a tough learning curve, we just feel like having actual term limits is not necessary. So we've requested for section 85.020A, 85.020 A3 and 4, as well as 85.030A 3 and 4, that those be removed, which would eliminate term limits for both the Board of Adjustment and for the Planning Board. The next item that is requested to be removed altogether is really a section under the Board of Adjustment which has to do with testimony. That is 85.030G2D, and that really talks about what testimonies could be used for, and we've conferred with our legal counsel, and they believe that that section is not necessary. That basically the statutes do not really give the UDO and the Board of Commissioners and the county the authority to regulate how that testimony can be used. Now, the Planning Board did have some questions, concerns about that. At the time, we weren't really able to answer their questions, So we presented to you in your packets their version, but after discussing this with the legal counsel, we certainly understand that it really isn't something that we can regulate. We've notified the planning board of that fact, and we've not heard anything from them as far as any issues. We wanted you to be aware that that is a section that we're recommending be removed from the Unified Development Ordinance altogether. So now we get to the sections that really have to do with sort of shuffling things around. Talk about sections 85.020A through F. There are various items in here that we are requesting that would be moved to the rules of procedure for the planning board. .020 has to do with the planning board. .030 has to do with the Board of Adjustment. So I'm going to talk about the planning board first. A5 has to do with a clarification that the planning board can recommend that a board member be removed for cause. Number 6, that's being actually moved to from 85.020E. There's some grammatical error that's being changed, and then some numbers that are being renumbered as far as the other items go. Under the Board of Adjustment, which again is 85.030A through G, we're asking for some of the same things. We're clarifying that the Board of Adjustment can recommend that a board member be removed for cause. We are talking about the officers and moving those to the rules of procedure. That's not necessary to be in the ordinance. We're actually moving a section from 80.030E to 80.030D, so we're just moving something within the ordinance. But essentially, what we're doing is requesting some items to be removed and put in a rules of procedure, and some items to be just shifted within the ordinance as it is. I can go through each individual one if you'd like, but I think I've hit sort of the highlights of what we're discussing here. I'll be happy to answer any specific questions you might have, but that is the gist of what we're requesting tonight.
Thank you. No one was signed up to speak.
Excuse me, Chairman, can I ask him a question, please?
Yep.
The term limits, how long, I don't remember off the top of my head, the term limits for the planning board and Board of Adjustments.
They currently serve on a 3-year, so when you reappoint them, they get 3 years.
3 years.
But they would get 2 full terms as it is today. So they could only serve 6 years, 2 full terms.
Okay.
We're requesting that they not really have any term limits, that you decide to reappoint them when they're up for reappointment, or remove them if you feel that that's for cause. Did that answer your question, sir?
Yes, sir.
Under meetings, you have, for a change, marking out the planning board must establish a regular meeting schedule to ensure expeditious review of matters within its jurisdiction. And if I look under section 85.030B meetings, that's also lined through. The Board of Adjustment must establish a regular meeting schedule to ensure expeditious consideration of matters within its jurisdiction. Is that added back in anywhere?
It's in the rules of procedure. Those are items that we want to be put in their rules of procedure, because those
You just
boards should
consolidate them
establish
under
what
that.
their meeting schedules are.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Seeing as how no one has signed up to speak, it would be appropriate to entertain a motion. We don't have to vote on it tonight, but if anybody would like to make a motion that we vote on this tonight, we can.
I'd like to see us give some time for
Okay,
discussion.
all right. Sounds
Next
good.
meeting.
Close the public hearing. All right, next we have a public hearing on Project Ginger.
Yes, and Gretchen Carson is here from Economic Development. She would just like to provide a brief overview of this project before you take any public comment.
Good evening. Chairman Rushing, Commissioners, and Manager Kotev. It is my pleasure to bring before you this evening an economic development incentive request by AEP Industries. AEP Industries has been located in Union County within the town of Stallings since 1977 and currently has approximately 300 employees. They produce industrial films and stretch films such as industrial bags and films used for wrapping pallets. AEP also produces sun film, which is used to wrap bales of hay. If Union County is selected, the anticipated new taxable investment in building and equipment would be approximately $15 million. This potential expansion will strengthen the stability of the Union County location and its retention of the current employees. While the incentive does not require job creation, the project has the potential to create 20 jobs. The company recently notified our office of this potential expansion and has indicated that incentives are a very important factor for the parent company in their final location decision. Union County is in competition for this expansion with other AEP facilities located throughout the United States. The request is for a Step 3 grant valued at $412,500 to be paid in 5 annual payments based upon appraised value each year as appraised by the Union County Tax Administration Office. The grant is based on the company's projected total investment of $15 million in equipment and machinery and new building expansion over the grant period. Based on its projected investment in Union County, the current tax rate, and assuming a consistent assessed value with no depreciation, the company will pay estimated ad valorem taxes on the new taxable investment of $582,375 over the grant period. Actual tax revenue to the county will be based upon the assessed value of the investment each year, depending on depreciation schedule and timing of the investments. The project also achieves a cost-benefit analysis ratio of 1.60 to 1 over the first 5 years, the grant period, of the project, and achieves a 5.93 to 1 ratio over the first 10 years. Therefore, the Monroe Union County Economic Development staff recommends the award of this performance-based economic development incentive grant to AEP not to exceed $412,500 over a 5-year period anticipated to begin in fiscal year 2018. I would now like to introduce Mr. Corey Foster, Plant Manager of AEP, who's available to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Gretchen. So Corey Foster, Plant Manager of AEP. I would like to extend a thank you for consideration for this grant and for our past relationships on other grants we've received in the past. And I'm certainly available for any questions.
Questions? Thank you for what you're doing for Union County, providing jobs, and we appreciate you being willing to consider us as an expansion.
We're happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, once again, there's no one signed up for the public hearing. Would anybody like to make a motion, seeing as how we had no opposition?
So moved.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we go to additions, deletions, and adoption of the agenda. Oh, sorry, informal comments. Apologize for that. We have one person signed up to speak tonight, Todd Smith.
My name is Todd Smith. I live at 5051 Scaly Bar Court, Indian Trail, North Carolina. It has been several weeks since I emailed and presented questions to Ms. Cotto and Union County Commissioners on the Lancaster DSS report that shows a pattern of child abuse exploitation on a 4-year-old child, with the pattern continuing on my 4-year-old. I have not received any answers or response. I would like a response, please. I request a DSS investigation by another county to get the Lancaster DSS report subpoenaed. I recently got a letter from my school, from my oldest son's school, about children's unexcused absences. I just got a call from an elementary school that my youngest will be attending anger management training for the 2nd time. The child is only in the second grade. I just found out my children were attacked by 2 dogs at a house they were at. The dogs were inside, broke through a door. My kids told me they were knocked down, both bitten, and even stayed at the house overnight until the next day to go to school. I would like this investigated, but who am I to tell? Mr. Helms, I would like for you to respond to that to me. I would like to know who, where, when this happened, what happened. I would like an officer to go there. But then, I have no say in this. My children's health, education, and welfare, even though I have shown Union County the Lancaster DSS report where a man accused of molesting his son, and the same woman in Union County accused me of molesting my children, and I could not see my children for 8 months. I'm a veteran. I can protect my country against foreign countries, but as a father, I cannot protect my children from a local dog because one woman abused 2 different 4-year-olds in 2 different states against 2 different husbands And then when I show proof, nobody in Union County cares to subpoena the Lancaster DSS records and charge her with child abuse. Oh, and this woman laughs in my face and tells me there is nothing I can do about it, or anyone, because her law firm is Caldwell, Helder, Helms, and Robeson, which told her to talk to this man, Lee Hasty, who in turn tells Union County DSS that I stuck my finger in my son's rear end. She already did this in South Carolina. Does anyone care? Isn't it against the law for lawyers to falsely accuse a man of molesting his children? Isn't it against the law when police refuse to investigate and charge a woman with child abuse? Lancaster DSS report, 2000. Union County DSS report. This one, the child grew up to accuse me of molesting my children. Same thing. This child was reported by the wife that the husband stuck his finger in his son's rear end. I was accused of sticking my finger in my son's rear end. Something's wrong here. We need another county to investigate this. We don't know what. I've already talked to Union County Sheriff, the Stallings Police, Union County DSS. They said they never saw this report. I have had to do all the investigation. I don't have any more time, but the Lancaster DSS report needs to be subpoenaed. We don't know what else has happened there. Thank you.
All right, next we move on to additions, deletions, and our adoption of the agenda. I have one addition that we need to do. There was some of the deputies requested to be able to maybe put something on right after the consent agenda. It may be appropriate to take an item from the consent and just move it to the regular agenda, and if we could do that early on. Would the firing range qualify as old business?
Probably so. You've taken multiple actions on it.
Let's do that, if we could do that in our old business. And let's see, what kind of number do you want me to give that?
22A.
22A. 22A. Any other?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask that we remove item number 7 on consent, move it to regular agenda, please.
Yard waste processing contract.
Yep.
Anybody here to speak to that, Cindy?
Ed's here, yes.
Okay, we will put that on new business. Let's do that as item 26A. Any other?
Motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Motion been made. All those in approve, say yea.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right, and the consent agenda
Motion to approve the consent.
as amended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right. Let's go to old business. We're going to go with 22A, the sheriff's firing range. Is there anybody here to need any other information on that other than what we've got?
I can speak to it briefly, and also I know that facilities management under Public Works, they've also been monitoring the contract. We have been dealing with the issue of the sheriff's firing range for a number of years. I think back in, and apologize, I'm trying to recollect from memory. Probably in 2012 is when we acquired the property. I think it was in 2014, 2015 2013, we appropriated the monies. There have been additional monies that have gone to this project based upon an update. The primary reason in Union County needing a firing range is our deputies in the past years have used Monroe. There is no slots available in Monroe, so I think we were actually going out of county and having to pay for the use of other firing ranges for our deputies to be certified, but still did not allow them much of an opportunity in which to gain additional proficiencies. So with this firing range, they will be able to have their own range in which they are able to obtain their certifications as well as increase their overall proficiencies with handguns, etc.
So the motion that we would need would be that we approve the low bid for GW Lyles Construction Company in the amount of $6,467,295 and approve the funding for that bid. And the funding's already been approved already
Yes, sir.
in the budget?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so that we award that contract. Any discussion on that motion?
And also to authorize the county manager the ability to approve the contract, to approve the construction contract pending legal review, and adopt a resolution providing notice of Union County firing range project construction.
I will have a little bit of discussion. After we do this, some of the deputies wanted to come up and make a presentation. So before we do that, let's have a vote on the issue. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? All right. Todd Elmore, if you'd like to come up, and Sheriff, I believe these fine gentlemen have something to present to you. Well, you all got dressed up. Come on up here. What? Yeah, come on up here. Now, if you're going to make, I see who you got making pictures. That was nice to ask Lynn to do the pictures instead of just leaving him out.
Well, we want to just, first of all, appreciate the county commission approving this firing range, the county manager, the county staff, and citizens of the Union County, because this is a very big deal for the sheriff's office, because we have to travel outside our county to do our firing range training. And this man right here had the vision to pursue it, and finally we see it coming. Hopefully groundbreaking soon. Hopefully we'll be shooting on it within the next year. But without this man doing it, we wouldn't have that. We have 210 sworn deputies that carry firearms that have to retrain every year. So it's a big deal for us. So as a symbol of our appreciation, we want to present the sheriff with this right here that he could hang it on his wall at the sheriff's office. So it's a big deal for us, and we appreciate it. So thank you.
Got everything spelled right.
Y'all want to say anything real fast?
Sheriff Kathy, I've had the honor of working with you since day one that you took office. You've always strived to push for all the equipment, better training, and seeing this through, it just, we're excited to be able to see this come to fruition and see what you have in store for us in the future as our leader.
Listen, I appreciate this, and I appreciate the county commissioners and managers. She's really helped a lot on this range. She's pushed hard for this range. I appreciate it. I know it goes to legal now, Jeff, and we'll probably be breaking ground later on this week.
Wheels of justice move slow, Sheriff.
I appreciate it, Bob.
Thank you. And just to give you an idea about how long this has been in the works, I took a vote on it many years ago to buy land for it, Sheriff. So it has been a long time. Since you got in office, about a couple of years after you got in office, we started with this project. So congratulations on that, and I know the deputies will appreciate it. All right, next we are going to new business. We have appointments to Monroe Union County Economic Development Advisory Board. We have, let's see, applications have been received as follows. Daniel Berry, Scott Byram, applying for reappointment, Bob Curry, Michelle Nettles, and Gary Summerfield applying for reappointment. How many positions it doesn't have on here? 3 positions? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I nominate Gary Summerfield and Scott Byram for reappointment and Daniel Berry for appointment.
Any other nominations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. So that was Daniel Berry, Scott Byram, and Gary Summerfield. Okay, next we have request from the Beekeepers Association. And the background on this, Union County Beekeepers Association has requested that Union County support pollinators by incorporating pollinator-friendly plants in our landscapes on county-owned property. Well, I think there's a presentation, and Manager, would you like to?
Well, staff doesn't have a presentation. Is there someone here from the?
There was a YouTube video, I believe, a video present?
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see if Brett's got it already loaded.
He's got it. He's making it.
And we have several beekeepers here tonight. If you'd raise your hand and be acknowledged. Thank y'all for coming out tonight. And if you wouldn't mind giving your name and your address.
My name is Gladys Hudson. I live in Waxhaw, North Carolina, 9325 Providence Road, Waxhaw.
Yep.
We have Sam.
Pollinators. Boring. Well, maybe not. Take your typical picnic. Fact, 1 in 3 mouthfuls of food requires pollinators. So that picnic, yep, pretty much impossible without pollinators. Pollinators, not boring.
Nature works because of pollinators. Pollinators are often the smaller critters that we forget, whether it's an ant, a bee, even mosquitoes, a hummingbird, or a bat. They're so critical to our daily lives.
Pollinators ensure much of our food and natural beauty by keeping plants alive and blooming. Ultimately,
What we're talking about is how plants reproduce. Pollination is how a plant that is stuck here gets its pollen to some other plant of the same species. They don't survive unless they have someone or something to move their pollen, the male sex cells, to the female parts of another flower.
sometimes that something is just gravity or the wind. Plants like pine trees and grasses let go of their pollen, letting it land wherever, hoping to score.
Plants with the pretty flowers grow those flowers. They've evolved them to attract pollinators. So flowers have to offer the pollinator something that the pollinator wants to get them in the flower to pollinate them.
Pollinators get a meal, flowers get to reproduce. It's win-win for all, including us. So what can we do to keep our menus at restaurants and options at the grocery store as varied as possible?
The most important thing that people can do is use fewer pesticides. Pesticides kill insects fairly indiscriminately. So in your yard, in your pots on your balcony, see if you can get your school and the parks around you to use those pesticides. The next thing would be make a pollinator garden with an 8 by 10 foot plot, or even 6 pots on a balcony. You can provide significant habitat to protect and conserve those species in your own yard.
Here in Colorado's Yampa Valley, these young scientists at Carpenter Ranch are doing just that, building a pollinator garden on land once cleared for livestock and lawn. And at lunch, a challenge to show firsthand how important pollinators are.
You can eat anything on this table that hasn't needed a pollinator to produce it. That fruit requires a pollinator. So that plate of fruit, out of here. But what about those potato chips? Can't you eat those?
Nope, the oil used to cook them, powered by pollinators.
So what about the lemonade?
You heard the lady about fruit.
What about those almonds?
Out. Lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, watermelon, mustard, turkey and roast beef, cheese, out.
So what did we leave you?
Bread. Bread and water.
Some lunch, bread and water. Not only do they bring us food and other wildlife food, They literally stitch together our landscapes by keeping those species able to reproduce and live. Nature without pollinators would be an incredibly different place.
And a very different tasting place, too. Nature works hard, and that's why we must work hard for nature.
Good job, pollinators. Pretty good, man.
And if any of you had anything to add to that, we'd love to hear that too.
I do. The Union County Beekeepers Association is requesting that Union County support pollinators by incorporating pollinator-friendly plants in our landscape on county-owned property. Pollinators such as native bees and our honeybees, some birds, bats, butterflies, dragonflies, wasps, and other insects play a crucial role in flowering plant reproduction and the production of most fruits and vegetables. There's many examples of those: apples, squash, tomatoes, almonds, and many others. Without the assistance of pollinators, most plants will not produce a fruit or a seed. The fruit and seed of flowering plants are an important food source for people and wildlife. Seeds that are not eaten will be windblown or dispersed by birds and to propagate new plants, helping to increase and maintain pollination. In the United States, pollination by honeybees, directly or indirectly, contributed to over 19 billion in crops in 2010. Pollination by other insects, native and otherwise, contributed to nearly 10 billion in crops in 2010. A recent study of pollinators in North America by the National Academy of Science found that pollinators of honeybees, which are not native to North America, and native pollinators are declining. These decline in native pollinators is a result of loss of habitat and urban sprawl, while a decline in managed honeybees is linked to a lack of disease and habitat. In other words, parasites and pathogens. So as we saw in the video, insects and or animals visit the flower to search for food. In case of the honeybee, they intentionally collect pollen, while others, such as butterflies and birds, move pollen accidentally when the pollen sticks to their body and is moved from flower to flower. Man has removed pollinator habitat through urban sprawl. We can reverse this by bringing forage areas back to the pollinators. Land that would be otherwise barren or planted with grass, which is needed to be maintained by mowing, could instead be planted with pollinator-friendly forage that would come back year after year or drop seeds. We must help to feed our declining pollinators that are now disappearing from our planet. The Union County Beekeepers Association requests that monies that would normally go to mow and maintain grass be repurposed to maintain native wildflower pollinator habitats. Plant it and they will come. A win-win for pollinators and Union County. Thank you.
Thank you. And any discussion or any other questions for anybody?
I had got a call from one of the beekeepers and was explaining the need in some of the lands that we have, such as our sewer right-of-ways and some land we own. I think this is something we need to have our agricultural department investigate and see if it's something that we can facilitate, and if there in fact can be savings. I know that some of the wildflowers that grow to a certain level and don't go past what need the required mowing might be beneficial. So I think it's something we need to investigate, because the loss of bees is a major issue in the country right now, and we need to do all we can to facilitate that Union County's agricultural community continues to have the benefit of these bees.
Actually, Commissioner Jeff Caton, who's the Director over Community Services, which Cooperative Extension is under, I believe has had some discussions with some of the beekeepers. Unfortunately, he couldn't be here this evening. He has a flu. But I know some of those discussions have started to take place as to what's an appropriate place in order for that to occur.
Okay. What's Mr. Caton's view on this? Is he aware of that?
Yes, yes. I would say his view is positive, and yes, we are trying to find areas that we control the property that also would not affect where people and bees intersect, where that may not always be positive from the standpoint of allergies and people who may not tolerate bees as well as others. So yes, he's trying to come up with a plan and working with them.
As one of those individuals, I appreciate that.
Don't plant on the playground, right?
Mr. Chairman, I'll ask that we direct staff to work with Union County beekeepers and master gardeners to find options that will use pollinator-friendly plants and county landscape designs, provide information to the public on the county website about pollinators.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? Thank y'all for coming out tonight. Next, we have number 25, which is the Project Ginger. We had,
We've already taken action on that.
so we're good. We don't need to spell it out any. We're good here. And thank you again for your consideration and help Union County. All right. We are on 26, Union County Public Schools request. Manager, do you have the background on this?
I do. At the last Board of Education meeting, they did make a request to amend the capital budget, transferring $50,155 from the Porter Ridge High School roofing project to the Weddington High School roofing project, and staff recommends.
Anybody want to make the motion on that?
I make the motion, we amend the 2016 capital budget for schools by transferring $50,155 from Porter Ridge roofing project to the Winning High School roofing project.
Any discussion on that motion?
Again, I'd like to hear Ms. Merrill's presentation on that.
Well, thank you. Wanted to just bring to your attention that we did receive this bid on February 16th. And I'd always like to tell you the expiration. This bid is expected to expire on April 16th. It was over by $50,155, and we would like to use the savings from Porter Ridge High School. We spoke about that last month, and award this bid to AAR of North Carolina Incorporated.
Any discussion or any questions? All right. Anybody want to make a motion?
We already did.
Oh, did? Who did? Oh, that's right. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. We are now at 26A, yard waste.
I could ask Ed to come
This was-
forward. And yes, this was a consent item that Commissioner Jerry Simpson asked to be moved to the regular agenda. So would you prefer to ask questions, or would you prefer that he goes
I
over
was
the
waiting for the
program?
chairman to recognize me.
Oh, I apologize.
Mr. Jerry Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I apologize to Ed and to the board if this is repetitive in nature, but I just had a couple of questions. I've been a little bit out of the loop lately. I understand that we're going from $32 a ton to $17.50 a ton.
That's
And-
correct. That's the fee that we're being charged by the contract.
And I'm gonna assume that's because they don't have to haul it off our site. They just prepare it and then they leave and don't have to have all that trucking.
That's correct.
Okay. My second question, and the one that gives me pause, is, and I paraphrase, but I believe it was President Hoover that said, government got no business in business. And so I see that we're proposing to sell finished product in 2017. I've had a little bit of experience in my lifetime with compost, and what you need to know about compost is there's really, really sorry compost, and there's really, really good compost. And so sometimes that sorry compost just piles up and piles up and piles up, and then you've got a cost of getting rid of it. The other thing is how many additional employees, front-end loaders, baggers, all of these kind of things are we going to have to invest in to build us a compost sales and marketing facility?
All excellent questions, Commissioner. One, we're not planning on any additional staff, and additionally not any additional equipment. You will see in the budget that we've presented, assuming it gets through the manager's review, some additional equipment for facilitating this compost operation. Right now, we have actually started yard waste composting ourselves this year, so we've taken some of the product that's been on site. And really thanks to the excellent staff we have out there at the landfill site, have really turned it into a Class 1 operation for yard waste. Because your point is absolutely correct. If you're not composting the yard waste properly, if it's not ground properly, if it doesn't come up to temperature, you don't get the breakdown, you don't get that quality material, and you're not going to have a market. So we've been working with this vendor over the last year, really developing a product that we're comfortable with, that there's a high degree of confidence that there's a market for it and that there's a revenue source for it. So the intent is to start small and start easy with what we're doing. We don't intend to go bagged. We intend to only do bulk sales. And part of that will be coming back to the board as part of the budget to approve a rate for the sale of that material. So we're going to start, again, relatively small with this operation. The intent is that right now on the weekends, we have a lot of folks coming in to pick up trucks, trailers, dropping off yard waste, dropping off other debris. We see a real market where they can just come in, drop off that debris, move to the next bay. We load them up with a yard of compost, and they haul it off at whatever price we come up with. But we think it's a way for us to close that loop, even if we get no revenue off of it, without having to bring additional staff on board. Just saving the cost and being able to be able to recycle that material, we see as a real benefit.
Thank you.
Ed, is this a similar operation to what? Are you familiar with the Foxhole, it's a Mecklenburg
Yes.
landfill? And they do something very similar. They have to have equipment there to continue to pile up this waste that comes in. But they're also the ones that load the trailers. Is this kind of the design you're
Very similar to that operation on obviously a smaller scale than the Foxhole. Our intent for this upcoming year is to rent equipment, not buy equipment to help us through this. We actually ran three different cost benefit scenarios on the payback on this. It's about a 2-year payback on the investment to be able to get up and running. And yeah, I'd operate any business I can get a 2-year payback on, so it's looking pretty good.
Any other questions?
With that information, I'll trust you that it's going to be a good process and a good product. And I'll authorize the county manager to approve the contract with Privet Enterprises pending legal review, process grind all incoming yard waste as part of our type 1 composting operation at the solid waste management facility.
All right. Any discussion on that? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None? Okay, that brings us to manager's comments.
And I have no comments this evening, Chairman.
Mr. Jerry Simpson?
No comments.
Mr. Richard Helms?
No comments.
Mr. Lance Simpson?
No comments.
It's not 8 o'clock yet, right?
Well, then let me take that opportunity to talk. Now, I would just remind everybody that early voting is open in Union County. Avoid the long lines and go cast your vote. I believe it's open till Saturday at, is it 6 o'clock? I think it's 6 o'clock, but check with the Union County Board of Elections on their website, or you can call their office and they can give you the specific details. But I went and voted today and was in and out in about 5 minutes. So I encourage residents of Union County to take advantage of that. It costs a lot of money to put that early voting on, so let's take advantage of it and get our vote out there. With that, I wish everyone a good evening.
Thank you. And comments that I would have is we were able to join the school board this week in a meeting at Piedmont Middle School. Enjoyed the information and look forward to obtaining more information from the school board. Thank you again, Ms. Merrill, for coming tonight and presenting your budget needs. And you know, with that said, I'd like to wish everyone a good evening as well. And I'm glad to see you back, Commissioner Simpson. Hope you recover well. And wish everyone a good evening. Motion?
Aye.
Aye.